Dave here from Geeky Guys. As Stranger Things Season 5 Chapter 4 is out at the moment and everybody's watching it and enjoying it, thought I'd come on and talk about it a little bit. Now, I'm not going to talk about the new season, the new series, the new episodes, because people are literally just watching it at the moment and I don't want to spoil it and spoil anybody's fun. And I'd rather probably talk about the thing as a whole when the series is finished. Obviously, we had the first few episodes come out the other day on November 26th, and then the next set of episodes comes out on December 25th, Christmas Day, and then the final set of episodes to finish off the season comes out on New Year's Eve, December 31st. So that'd be really good to see that finish where it goes. But yeah, I thought I would come on today and just kind of talk about the genesis of Stranger Things, what has gone into it to make it what it is, what the Duffer brothers have kind of nodded back to, references to put in there. Obviously, the creators of the show, Matt and Ross Duffer, they very much like me grew up during that time period that the show's set in, and obviously we see a lot of references to films and TV series in there. So I thought I'd kind of go through that a little bit and kind of talk about the how all of that has come together to make this amazing show that obviously has been really good over 5 seasons, very popular, probably one of the most popular shows we've had in quite a few years, and because it's appealed to such a broad audience as well, not just people that were born during the time when the show's set, but even people that are very young that have no reference point to the 70s or 80s are really enjoying it as well. So they really hit the sweet spot with this show, the Duffer brothers, so well done to them. In terms of like even my connection to the show, I mean, I was one of those kids in the 80s going around on bikes, on a rally mountain bikes and choppers, going around living in each other's houses, playing games, talking on the walkie-talkies. Some of the early ones weren't particularly that good, and you could hardly hear your mate on the other end, depending on how far away you was from each other. So we certainly didn't have as quality equipment sometimes as they have in Stranger Things. Obviously they've got their audio visual club where they get most of their stuff from, their knowledge on that sort of thing at school. We kind of had to work a lot of it out for ourselves. We did have a computer room, and we had people that were doing very basic IT tutelage. So we learned a little bit about computers, and obviously me and a few of our friends were like mad on computers. And our primary school teacher back in the day used to like make his own games for the BBC Micro. Me and my mate Paul used to test them out for him and let him know what we thought. So yeah, there was a lot of that kind of stuff with your friends and stuff in Stranger Things, which is very familiar to me and does bring back a lot of fun, happy memories. So I'll talk about the aspects of what has gone into this show. One of the first ones was obviously in the show we've got the military, which are investigating the Upside Down and are kind of trying to weaponize it and get new technology, new weapons out of it, and kind of aggressively investigate it and R&D it like the military always does. And a lot of that comes from the Montauk project, which was mooted to have happened in the early 1970s and has been discussed since the early 80s. And that was all supposed to have happened at Montauk Air Force Station in New York, where they were developing psychological warfare methods and techniques, and also exotic research into things such as time travel. Now, this is mainly suggested that it's fictional, that it never happened, and they say it's all based on a series of sci-fi books by Preston Nichols and Peter Moon back around the early 80s time, and it's kind of one of those things which has kind of got that kind of grey area, 50-50, did it happen, did it not happen? But certainly from the research that I've seen online, a lot of people don't seem to think it happened, but that's one of the reference points that's gone into Stranger Things. Also, there was a documentary film of that for the Manhattan project in 2014, so it might be worth having a look at that. We had obviously the Manhattan project in 1942, which was a real project, which was secretly developing the nuclear bomb, which obviously famously ended the Second World War. But we also had the Philadelphia experiment, which is another thing which has been referenced to, which has gone into Stranger Things, which was rumoured to have happened in 1943, where the Navy were doing R&D regarding time travel and using electromagnetic and electrogravitic waves to make a ship, the USS Eldridge, disappear or travel in time. And this is another one where did it happen, did it not? And there's a lot of conspiracy theory discussion about all these things online. And the Duffer brothers have certainly used a lot of that, the Philadelphia experiment, the Manhattan project, and that kind of makes up the kind of secret lab in like Hawkins, Indiana, and the military being involved in these experiments with this exotic stuff. And I think that's where they got a lot of that from those supposed projects from the 1940s. The other thing that we've got, and this is a show that I watched when I was younger, that came out in 1991, and I think the Duffer Brothers have mentioned that this was in their head when they were writing Stranger Things as well, was a television series called Erie, Indiana. It was a horror science fiction television series that aired on NBC from September 91 to December 93. It was created by Jose Riviera, Carl Schaefer, and also Joe Dante, who famously directed Gremlins, serving as creative consultant on that show. And that was very much the same. It was set in a little town called Erie, Indiana, with a population of 16,661, and those numbers came into the series and were important at certain points. With a boy called Marshall Teller who moves to the area and meets his only friend there, Simon Holmes, who is one of the few normal people in Erie, and basically a lot of weird things happen in the town. It's one of those places that's just like a weird triangle on the map where just weirdness just happens and paranormal stuff. And some of the scenarios that they both faced together was a sinister group of intelligent dogs that were planning to take over the world, meeting a tornado hunter who was reminiscent of Captain Ahab. And they also confronted numerous urban legends such as Bigfoot, a still living Elvis, and many other things, even like a parents' Tupperware party where there's this weird family that were trapping people and miniaturizing them, putting them in Tupperware boxes, and it was allowing them to keep young and use their life force and live for longer. Basically making them immortal. And there was a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff in there, but it also had a serious tone at times. But that was another show that kind of you can kind of see the genesis of where they created Hawkins, Indiana, from this Erie, Indiana, where it's just a place on the map that's just weird and strange things happen that don't seem to happen anywhere else, and the military just pile in there and R&D it, try and find out what's going on. So that is very reminiscent, and that show's very, very much worth watching. It was very much ahead of its time. It should have had more episodes. And if you like Stranger Things, you would definitely like that. It's very, very good. And they even had a person called Dash X, and also Mr. Radford. And towards the end of the show, they kind of had a jokey final episode where Dash X was trying to take over as star of the show from the main lead character, obviously Marshall Teller, this lad who moved to the area. So that was kind of like a horror comedy one at the end, but they should have kind of carried that on. That would have been good. Obviously, another thing which is big in Stranger Things is D&D, also known as Dungeons and Dragons. And that, if you don't know, it was a fantasy tabletop role-playing game originally created and designed by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. It was first published in 1974 by Tactical Studies Rules, and it's been published by Wizards of the Coast, later a subsidiary of Hasbro, since 1997. It's a very good game. I've played it a couple of times myself. Maybe a bit of an acquired taste, and a bit of something which you might be a little bit wary of getting into, and unless you knew more about it or you knew somebody that was already playing it that could ease you in. Kind of seems like one of those big games that's like unobtainable, unlearnable, but it really isn't. It's quite easy to get into. Your core concept is that you've got a dungeon master or a games master in other tabletop role-playing games that puts a scenario before you and your friends, and you work together as a group to conquer whatever puzzle, challenge, battle, or quest that you've got to overcome, whatever the scenario leads to. When the results of your efforts are uncertain, you roll dice, mainly d20 dice, which are like hexagonal weird cut of dice, and they represent your struggle. I mean, as I say, when I've played the game, it's the involved part of it is probably like creating your character. Now, as obviously you remember from Stranger Things, you've got like perhaps a barbarian, a sorcerer, a paladin, cleric, giant, maybe elf, dwarf, goblin, all the gnome, all those sorts of things in the game. There's kind of no limit to what your character can be, and usually at the start of the game is you'll choose your player, your cast, and you'll kind of say what their talents and focuses are, and that will sort of show during your games of sessions of play what you can and can't do. So you might have, say, a sorcerer named Tridan or something, and you might create a little back history for that character. That's always a good thing to do. And then you'll have like focuses and talents where you'll put like down what you've learned in the past, what your skills are basically, and you've got to think very hard on that as to what sort of things that you might need during the sessions, and be sort of quite intelligent about it if you can. Sometimes they can be quite weird and over the top, like, you know, your weapon could be music, or your weapon could be a bracelet or a wristband or something. So there's all sorts of things that you can have, and then depending on what your points are and all the different things, you know, what your health is, what your energy is, what your magic is, all those sorts of things, when you roll your dice, that will depend on what the value on the dice is, what the dice is, will tell you as to whether you've got a success, a failure, critical success, critical failure, and basically that the game will then go on from them as to whether you've got past that part, whether you've partially done it and had to run away, or whether somebody else has had to come in, use their skills to help you to defeat that particular enemy or that particular boss or whatever it is, dragon, demon, devil, whatever it may be. And your dungeon master, your games master, will basically talk you through the scenario, where you are, what's going on, what people are around there, and then you can basically suggest and say, you know, I want to do this, and they'll tell you whether you can do it or not, and what sort of what talent you need to use to complete that. So it might be that, you know, that you want to see something far away, and maybe you've got a magic spell that allows you to like seek and go out and see things from above, and you know, you'll have a value on that, and basically then you can roll your dice and see if you're able to do it or not. So there's all sorts of things that you can do. Some people even go even more with it, and they'll like maybe even draw a map of the world out that's been created by the dungeon master. You might even use, like we've seen in Stranger Things before, like your own figurines, like your own little characters, plastic characters, which you can paint if you want as well. So you can use those, and you can make it as real as you want to be if you've got the props to do it, or you can do it just with a pen or pencil and a pad, write it all out and go through it that way. So it can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be, really. It's one of those games, and it depends on what type of dungeon master you've got as to, you know, what they'll allow you to do, what they're happy for you to do for them to progress the story, because they will talk you through the story from beginning to end, and you'll participate and try and get through it. So yeah, D&D, that is a massive part of it as well. It wasn't something I played as a kid, but I did play it later on as an adult, and yeah, it's good fun. I'd say give it a try if you can, and yeah, it's not as hard to get into as you'd think. It's worth a try. The other thing that I would say, obviously, mentioned this earlier, is like TV shows and movies, which massively you can see are influences on Stranger Things, that the Duffer brothers have bought certain things from and put in there, and it's either been inspired by something they've seen or something they've seen they've added to it and thought that was a good idea, we'll add to it. So I mean, the thing of like the friends together going on having to do something, it reminds me of like the Goonies movie from 1985, and also like Stand By Me from 1986, Lost Boys 1987, very much so as well, Ferris Bueller's Day Off 1986, and even like horror films as well, like Stephen King's It from 1990, where it's a group of young people that have got to work together to defeat this high evil, this thing that seems untouchable and unbeatable. So that's very much in there as well as something like, say, Hellraiser from 1987. Vecna kind of has that kind of Pinhead kind of feel about him at times. Very, very, very cruel, very, very, very nasty. He's just doing what he's doing and screw everybody else. You either work with him or you die. So yeah, I'd say that is a big part of it. And then you look at films like E.T., Flight of the which was 1982, Flight of the Navigator 1986, Labyrinth 1986, Ghostbusters 1984, Neverending Story 1984, which has been mentioned a few times in the Stranger Things show as well. That's something that they were aware of, that movie, and you had Dustin singing the song to his girlfriend, who none of them thought was real. You got The Last Starfighter 1984, Big from 1988, Weird Science 1985, Gremlins 1984. Of something terrible coming in and causing havoc, these creatures. Poltergeist 1982, the kind of the upside down, the kind of flashing lights and like the flickering TV and stuff is very reminiscent of that. And even David Cronenberg movies from like 1986 onwards, like Existence, The Fly, Videodrome, Scanners, they all kind of have a lot of feeling of back references there, by the Duffer brothers in Stranger Things. And yeah, I think that's about it. But I mean, I would say that's kind of the genesis of the show. Obviously, they've used obviously all their own ideas, but this kind of backdrop of what they grew up with is kind of what's gone into the show to make it what it is, and probably why it is so good is because a lot of it is reality. Even the things you could say, which are like conspiracy theories and things you hear stories about, that sound like rubbish, things like fey realms and other dimensions and things like that. You hear a lot about that over time, over the years, and different stories, giants and elves and gnomes and leprechauns and, weird, like, other landscapes like hell and things like that. And I think a lot of that has come into Stranger Things as well, with like back referencing a lot of those stories, even like the Brothers Grimm. Some of the dark, gritty, gothic stuff in there kind of comes into Stranger Things, I think, as well, with kind of building up like the Upside Down. You can kind of see where that has come from that previous material, like written and, as we said, TV and film as well. So yeah, that's for me where I see a lot of it coming from. As I say, with me growing up in the 80s, it's a great show for me because I do recognise a lot of the things that go off in it, a lot of the TV show and film references, a lot of the styles of the way the friends are and what they do and what the parents are like, and going to each other's houses and hanging out and causing trouble and things like that were all things that I did with my mates back in the day, when I was their age and younger. So yeah. If you've got any more thoughts as to the genesis of Stranger Things, what makes it what it is, what makes it so good, what you've picked up from it, which maybe I may not have mentioned, which is a good reference point for the show that's been used, or information that's been used from something, from somewhere, from some time, yeah, let us know. Drop it in the comments, or you can always send us a message on one of our social media platforms. We're pretty much on them all. And yeah, or send the old style, send us an email, even if need be. You can find the email address on the website on geekyguys.co.uk. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that look behind Stranger Things, what makes it what it is, or what I think makes it what it is. And I'll see you on the next video. Hope you're enjoying Stranger Things Series 5. I finished Chapter 4 yesterday in the last episode. Really good. It's pretty much as good as it's always been. A pretty epic ending to it as well. So I'm not going to spoil anything at the moment, but give it a watch. Let us know what you think. And I'll put another video out in January when the rest of the episodes have come out, and see what Series 5, Season 5, was like as a whole. So we'll see you then.